Governor Bush, I want to return to immigration reform a little bit. I know you've spent a lot of time on this issue, and we've done work here which talks about that shows that immigrants are a key driver of economic growth in this country, but doesn't seem like public sentiment is there right now. No. And so how do we overcome that? I mean, we really just don't even have, data shows that, research shows that. We understand the replacement rate in this country and what immigrants mean to this country, but how would you overcome that as we think about immigration reform?
Well, first, I'd say that you've probably stolen some of the great data that you're reflecting on right now from the Dallas Fed, which did really incredible work in that regard. And the data is pretty clear, but there is a gap between people's perceptions and this economic need. So the first thing I think is to solve the problems that people feel about immigration, which is that the rule of law is being violated. That what you need to do is to make sure that illegal immigration is contained, that you have a serious plan to deal. The large number of people that come here illegally now come with a legal visa and stay. 60% of all illegal immigrants this year will be in that means. Well, a great country should know where those folks are and figure out how to deal with that so that legal immigrants are respected and are not put into the same net as the folks that come here illegally. Secondly, I think you deal with the border security issues and E-Verify. These things are important to do, and there's been good work on that. And the data, while it's hard to actually measure enforcement because a lot of times numbers of people being caught goes down, which means you're actually doing your job better. It's hard to make that case, but there has to be a compelling case for those that want broad-based immigration reform to move our system to an economic driver. There has to be a lot of effort there. And clearly the administration is going to expect that, demand that, and I think Americans want that as well. But once you get beyond that, then you can look at the legal immigration system and realize that there's huge opportunities for, as you said, for sustained economic growth. And whether we're, as a country, we're kind of moping around. I mean, it's depressing how depressing everybody is. I'm an optimist, and I think we're on the verge of an extraordinary time in our country. But most people are really just deeply depressed about their children's future, about their future, about how the systems aren't working for them. And to lift people's spirits up, you have to defend this, you have to advance it, you have to advocate it. And right now, those that are on the side of reform are timid rather than being bold. And they're fearful of the tweets, and they're fearful of the anger. And I think what we need to do is to assuage people's fears and then offer hope that this is not a zero-sum game, that high sustained economic growth will benefit everybody, that you can create an environment where immigrants create higher wages for your families. And I mean, it's there to be done, and who knows? I mean, Nixon went to China, maybe Trump is the immigration reform guy. A girl can dream here, and that's what I'm gonna do.
Holly, every time I would give a speech at the Fed for quite a long period, someone would raise the question about immigration, and you knew what their bias was. I would say I can explain economics, as Governor Bush has just done, as we have done, or you had done with the Institute here. But if you want to talk about the emotional side, I'm not going to get involved, because I'm the child of immigrants. But would all the Native Americans raise their hand in the audience? Of course, we're all the children or grandchildren or descendants of immigrants. I think this issue is going to be joined, by the way, in the reconstruction of Houston and California. You cannot build Houston without Mexican labor. You cannot rebuild those homes in California without Mexican labor. The governor very kindly mentioned the statistics at the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas. Before the storm, there were 587,000 Mexicans, temporary and perhaps illegal Mexicans, living in Houston. Wow. The estimate, it'll take 1 million Mexicans to rebuild Houston. These are our southern neighbors. We want a prosperous Mexico. And this business of immigration and the wall and we're going to tear NAFTA apart, I think we have to be very, very careful. The old joke is we know a wall works, by the way. China built one. They haven't seen a Mexican in 2,000 years. But think about the signal it sends and how it's done. We do need security, as the governor mentioned. But we have 120 million living south of our border. They're now being led by a man, or it appears, Lopez Obrador, extreme left-winger, could likely be the next president of Mexico if we keep poking him with a stick. I don't want Venezuela on my southern border because it threatens my security, those of my children, those of my grandchildren, et cetera.
Okay.
So I hope we're going to be very thoughtful here. We need immigrant labor. We cannot build without them. They take certain jobs that nobody else is willing to take in our country. We have to obviously make sure that we have the right kind of people coming in, meaning from a legal status standpoint, give them incentive, but we cannot propel our economy without immigration.
Yeah, so the solution to this is a guest worker program that exists based on demand, based on need, that ebbs and flows based on our economic needs. We've had that in the past. Other countries have it. The Canadian immigration model is the one probably to emulate. I know Richard's real plan is to build a wall across Canada and make Canada pay for it.
No, it's to build a wall between us and California. That's my real.
Californians may pay for that. That's so the other point about immigration that I forgot that's really important is a broader point back to President Bush's speech last week, which is we're becoming a nation of tribes. We're becoming quite tribal, and we're really righteous in our own beliefs these days because we get our news all from the same source, and it's just validating how smart we are and how we're right and makes us less tolerant of other people that are on the other team, whatever that is. And what has sustained the American experiment over these many years is a set of shared values. And immigrants can play a really constructive role in reminding us what our shared values are. But there has to be a contract. You come to this country and you embrace those values. You learn our history, you learn English, you aspire to greatness, you achieve earned success. Those are the American values. You're tolerant of other people. You allow people to express their faith as they see fit. All of those things which are really part of our heritage, immigrants will embrace if we politely require it to be so, and they will remind us of the power of that because many Americans have lost that sense of what a set of shared values are. I think that lessens people's fear and angst about the changing culture and changing. We don't have to change as who we are as Americans. In fact, it's a pretty damn good thing to be an American. And most immigrants totally understand this, and to allow them to do this, I think gives real energy for our country. So civics education, being proud of our heritage, honoring the flag, honoring the institutions that have created the greatness of this country, we should redouble our efforts to do that. Do it with respect, not do it in a jingoistic way, and encourage everybody else to embrace that as well.
Good stuff.